and Android.
Now at 5, people around the nation and the 4 states celebrate the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. Plus, a look at why more young people are being diagnosed with colorectal cancer. And
European leaders weigh a coordinated response to President Trump's escalating pressure campaign to control Greenland. I'm Erica Brown with more from the White House on the standoff.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
People around the 4 states and the nation honor Martin Luther King Jr., his legacy, and his dream. This is KOAM News. I'm Dow Quick. We begin our coverage of MLK Day with a celebration at Pittsburgh State University. Following this ceremony at Pitt State, students participated in a day of service to honor Dr. King. The event, planned by Pittsburgh State's Campus Activities Center, integrates new and returning students into the community. Participants were assigned to different service opportunities around Pittsburgh, including the SEK Humane Society, the Lord's Diner, and the Wesley House, and more.
Really blessed to see some continuous growth. So each year we've grown, we've offered more service opportunities and been able to impact more community services that we have here in Pittsburgh.
The service event kicked off with a check-in and short presentation from Pitt State student and faculty. Other places where students volunteered include the Miners Hall Museum, SEK Recycling, and ARMA Health and Rehab. The Ellis Fine Arts Center in Fort Scott invited the public to learn more about the life of Dr. King. The 4-day celebration wrapped up today with a screening of the documentary Remembrance of Martin, along with plenty of community discussion.
I'm very happy and excited for Kansas because we have a wonderful, rich history that celebrates everyone's journey. And so today is another great showing, great feature of that with people coming. And we will continue that, not just through here in Fort Scott, but through all over the region and the whole state of Kansas.
That event also featured a canned food drive and a presentation from Dr. Prissa Barnes discussing democracy and the responsibilities of citizenship. People gathered around the King Memorial in Washington, D.C. to remember the civil rights leader, while a peace walk and parade was held in the streets of the nation's capital. In Oxnard, California, outside Los Angeles, a high school and band helped to lead a freedom march. In Chicago, the Rainbow Push Coalition hosted its 2026 Dr. King annual breakfast, bringing together leaders to discuss his fight for equality.
People like my dad, Henry, who marched from Selma to Montgomery because he believed change was possible when good people refused to stay silent. When he was asked why he marched, he simply said, "I didn't like how human beings were being treated." It sounds familiar, doesn't it? This is our moment to choose courage over comfort, to choose faith over fear.
The third Monday in January was designated a national holiday in King's honor in 1983, 15 years after he was assassinated on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. Let's check in with meteorologist Austin Stantz now for a first look at the weather.
Yeah, thanks, Dal. After a little bit of a warm-up yesterday, temperatures back down today. Seeing some chilly conditions out there with a beautiful sunset tonight. 23 degrees right now. Winds very calm out of the west-northwest, around 3 miles per hour right now. That puts us anywhere from about 10 to near 20 degrees cooler than we were at this point yesterday. So it's a little bit cooler this evening. We're going to see those temperatures fall tonight into the teens. That's going to bring our wind chills down near the single digits tonight. We're not going below 0, but it's still going to be a very cold night tonight. So make sure to bundle up, maybe an extra blanket or two. But we'll talk about those single digit wind chills heading into tonight. But a midweek warm up is on the way. We're going to talk about that 4-letter word that everybody's been talking about lately. I'll have all those details in my full forecast.
All right, we'll catch you in a few. European leaders are slamming President Trump's threat to impose tariffs on NATO allies who oppose his plan for a U.S. takeover of Greenland. In a phone interview today with NBC, the president responded, no comment, when asked if he would use force to seize the semi-autonomous Danish territory. Erica Brown has the latest now from the White House.
The foreign minister of Denmark arrived at NATO headquarters Monday as European leaders weigh a coordinated response to President Trump's latest threat to take control of Greenland. Over the weekend, Trump announced he would impose tariffs of up to 25% on key NATO allies until a deal is reached. European leaders slammed the move.
The use of tariffs in this way is completely wrong.
President Trump insists his push to acquire Greenland is driven by national security concerns. But in a message sent to Norway's prime minister, the president said in part, quote, "Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America." Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent downplayed Trump's message.
I think it's complete canard that the president will be doing this because of the Nobel Prize. The president is looking at Greenland as a strategic asset.
President Trump is set to travel to Davos, Switzerland this week for the World Economic Forum, where he'll come face to face with leaders from many of the countries facing new tariffs. Former U.S. Ambassador to Denmark Rufus Gifford tells CBS News there's no reason to destabilize the NATO alliance over Greenland.
Everything that we need or desire from the Arctic, from Greenland, we could get by working across the table from one of our best allies in the world.
New CBS News polling shows 70% of Americans are against the president using federal dollars to buy the territory. 86% would disapprove of using military force to take control of it. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
In his phone interview today with NBC, Trump also alleged that Norway chooses the Nobel Peace Prize, not the 5-member Nobel Committee, saying, quote, "Norway totally controls it despite what they say." Still ahead, a disturbing cancer trend.
The type of cancer on the rise in young adults. I'm Tina Kraus with how scientists are digging into history for answers.
Plus, what a new blood test could tell us about our risk for asthma attacks. That's next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, good news for asthma patients. Researchers say they've created a blood test that can identify who's at risk for asthma attacks up to 5 years ahead of time. A study in Sweden found biomarkers that predict with 90% accuracy which asthma patients are at a high risk for future attacks. Could one day help doctors intervene early and provide treatment to prevent those attacks. Good genes might explain why some people are so-called super-agers. A study by Vanderbilt University Medical Center looked at super-agers, people over the age of 80 who still have the memory and cognitive function as someone 30 years younger. They identified those people are less likely to have 2 genes linked to Alzheimer's and more likely to have genes beneficial to cognitive health. More young adults here in the U.S. and around the world are being diagnosed with colorectal cancer. Scientists want to know why, and they're turning to historic archives for clues. Tina Kraus has that story.
Holly was just 23 when doctors in England diagnosed her with colorectal cancer. Her early symptoms, bloating and weight loss, were mistaken for irritable bowel syndrome. It turned out to be stage 3 cancer and needed aggressive treatment.
The hardest bit of the treatment was probably chemotherapy. It affected me in ways that I never thought it would and made things really difficult.
Researchers don't know why so many young people are getting the disease. While some studies have linked the higher rates to obesity and diet, scientists hope these stacks of boxes stored in England's National Bowel Hospital will hold some answers.
Bowel cancer in people under the age of 50 is increasing worldwide, including in the UK.
The boxes hold samples of colorectal cancer, thousands of cases going back a century. Scientists hope by comparing them to cancers today, they can spot what's changed.
Our leading idea is that there's a particular kind of E. coli that lives in the bowels of young people today that wasn't there in the past. And using modern scientific techniques, we can look at the samples in this room and test that idea.
4 years after her diagnosis, Holly is still having yearly checks, but is grateful to be moving forward.
I'm getting married next year, so lots of lovely things are happening, despite having had cancer.
A future filled with promise and hope of answers yet to come. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
Colorectal cancer is the 4th most commonly diagnosed cancer in the U.S. and the 2nd leading cause of cancer death. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the changing shopping experience.
bringing the convenience of online shopping to the physical store. I'm Jared Hill at the National Retail Federation's big show with what consumers can expect in 2026.
Well, if you feel like you're freezing tonight, don't worry, there's some warmer air on the way to thaw you out. Details coming up. Oh, Monday turned out to be a little bit chillier than we'd like, but don't worry, there's some warmer air on the way. Off to our west, we have this boundary here. It's going to push east, help out this stationary front on the edge of this cold front, take over and warm air, push east throughout our area. Now that will kick that high pressure off to the east, but it's going to bring some warmer temperatures to the area. But for tonight, we got to deal with some cold air moving in. So we're going to be around 19 degrees this evening. Could drop to around 17. We're going to see wind chills 5-10 degrees. It's going to be pretty cold. So it'll be around 19 degrees tonight. Very cold. Get an extra blanket or two. As I mentioned, those wind chills going to be down near single digits as we head into the overnight hours. But the good news is we're not seeing wind gusts near 30 miles per hour heading into the overnight hours, maybe 10, 15 miles per hour. Heading into around 4, 5, 6 a.m., we're going to see those winds back out of the south here. That's going to bring in some warmer air as well, and those could gust upwards around 20 at times. For tomorrow, upper 40s, a bit warmer out there. We're going to see a little bit breezy, gusts around 20, 25 tops. Now, heading into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, that's where we have some changes taking place here. So, can't rule out a brief sprinkle or two near 50 degrees on Wednesday. Heading into Thursday morning, some cloud cover begins to move in. Not expecting any precipitation, but it starts a little bit cooler in the 20s. Temperatures only making their way to around the mid 40s on Thursday. Then heading into Friday, that's when it really cools down. We're going to see another front pass here and the potential for maybe a few snow showers there heading from Friday into Saturday. But eyes off the snow, look at these temperatures. 5 degrees out there. It is going to be very cold this weekend, dangerously cold. But let's talk about the setup for some potential snow. Here is our upper flow map. You'll notice this circle off to the west. That's an upper level low. And what's going to happen there, we're going to see that upper level low develop. I put that there so we know where that guy's at. It's going to stay off to the west out near California. But what's going to happen, it's going to eject some energy off to the east here, creating what we know is a short wave. That's going to give some potential to see some precipitation. The problem that we're seeing and why we're seeing conflicting data between models and how much snowfall potentially this weekend, here's the jet stream coming down here. We have the core of that jet stream moving right through the area, but we're going to see all that cold air move down into our region. We need all this cold air to be in place already for any of this moisture to tap into that. Now, here's the other problem we run into. We call this the jet core here, as we see this is where the highest level of winds are in the atmosphere, 120 to 160 miles per hour there. So when that happens, there's not a lot of opportunity for lift. So typically any precipitation that develops typically stays off to the south, in the east, and that's kind of what we're seeing here right now. But if that jet stream moves at all, that's going to influence the snow factor considerably. Now heading into Friday, 25 degrees, 7 degrees overnight, 15 on Saturday, a few snow showers possible, 26 on Sunday. Heading into Monday, we're back up to 44, and then around average by the time we're in the middle of next week, Dow.
Okay, average will be pretty nice after what we're experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely. We can kind of get a little bit of everything.
You bet. Thanks, Austin. Old man winter can really take a toll on the body's largest organ. That would be your skin. Dermatologists say we're constantly losing moisture during the winter because our bodies are like humidifiers, releasing that crucial moisture into the dry air around us. And those long hot showers don't help either. They may warm you up in that moment, but all that hot water is actually bad for your skin. Doctors say dry skin can actually pose a health hazard.
Your skin is actually the barrier of protection to the outside environment, right? So if that gets dry and that gets impaired, you actually are putting yourself at risk for infection, not just the itchy, uncomfortable skin that happens when your skin is dry that can have you lose sleep at night and be uncomfortable, but you can actually get sick and get infections when your skin barrier is broken.
Dermatologists say the first step is to pull in moisture with a product containing hyaluronic acid and then seal it with an emollient like Aquaphor. In winter, limit the use of products with glycolic and other acids and retinol. Those ingredients can strip down your skin's barrier even more. Hey, don't forget, you can be the first to know about today's weather with the KOIM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. It's in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, the KOIM Skywatch weather app. Coming up, an update on the proposal for lowering credit card interest rates.
Attention homeowners from
Topping today's Consumer Watch, credit card companies have until tomorrow to comply with the president's demands for a 10% cap on interest rates. The White House has not made clear what actions will be taken if the industry does not follow through with the lower interest rates. Researchers have found such a cut would save Americans around $100 billion in interest a year. Two letters are dominating retail in 2026: AI. At this year's National Retail Federation Expo, there is a heavy focus on bringing the convenience of online shopping into brick and mortar stores. Jared Hill has a look at what you can expect in retail.
Enjoying NRF 2026.
From helpful holograms.
Hello, I'm Aria.
To high-tech ways to show off shoes, the National Retail Federation's 2026 Big Show offered a look at the future of retail.
For the very first time, we're able to connect with shoppers while they're on that journey through the store.
Crave Retail hopes its smart fitting room can bring the ease of online shopping to the physical store.
Something's not fitting right, you can go ahead, tap a screen, select a size, and have it brought to you.
For 2026, what are the big themes in retail?
The two big words for me going into 2026 in retail are content and research.
Industry analyst Melissa Minko with CINT says as retailers flood social media to get their products in front of consumers, shoppers are utilizing chatbots to do some fine-tuning.
They want to feel like they're making smart decisions with their spend, and AI is really helping them do that.
Some companies are predicting that 2026 will be all about agentic commerce. That's using generative AI to help you find what you're looking for. The next step in retail is using the technology to help make purchasing easier. Google recently added new shopping tools built directly into the search engine, and at NRF announced a partnership with Walmart, allowing shoppers to find and buy products directly through Google's AI. In fact, AI was all over the NRF Expo floor, even lending a helping hand to a Singapore-based store in a box.
They look at the customers, their age, their gender, the weather, for example, like I mentioned earlier, and promote what they think that you as a customer would want.
So if it's raining, maybe it'll say, here's an umbrella.
Here's an umbrella or a raincoat.
Another step toward rethinking retail. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
According to retail research firm CIT, about 3/4 of consumers are using AI tools at least occasionally in their path to purchase. And this long weekend at the box office, Avatar: Fire and Ash hit #1 for the 5th week in a row, notching another 13.3 million in ticket sales, according to studio estimates. Just edged out 28 years later, though, Bone Temple at $13 million. Zootopia 2 ended up in third spot with $8.8 million. Final check of the forecast up next. Tonight on KOIM News at 6, volunteers marked MLK Day by helping to clean up downtown Joplin. The annual Cleanup for Change took place. Plus, the story of a charter aviation company is helping take sick kids from the area to Disney World. And in sports, the 2026 Lancer Classic tips off. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOIM News at 6. If you haven't been out lately to check the temp, I'll save you the trouble. It's cold out there.
Yeah, it's only going to continue to get colder tonight, too. Wind chills back down into the single digits heading into the overnight. But good news, we're warming back up tomorrow, staying warm through Thursday with chances of some snow showers arriving by the weekend.
All right, you'll keep us up to date. Thanks for joining us. We're going to see you right back here for KOIM News at 6. Let's make it a great evening.